You must know how to read your current power of 3 situation once your session starts, so you can clearly identify it and look for a confirmation to join the trend. For example, I will analyze the case we saw this morning in the Discord group, where I shared the trade so you can see how to execute it yourself. In this case, we are at this point. It is 2:50 a.m., 10 minutes before the London session opens. We need to look left to see how the day's movement has developed and analyze the power of 3 so far. If we look, we have the Asian range here, which is usually an accumulation range, and we see that after it ends, price makes a new high, taking liquidity from the Asian high before having a bearish move that also ends up taking liquidity from the Asian low. This could be interpreted as a first power of 3 with the accumulation. Price accumulates in the Asian range, has an initial manipulation at the high, then a strong bearish move in the distribution phase until it takes liquidity from the initial move. Once we are at this point, we want to look for the direction price wants to take as our session starts and the London Open arrives to continue in. That session, therefore, having a high and a low point, both can serve as reference for manipulation. We need confirmation to know if price wants to keep rising. So the move would be Asian accumulation, manipulation of the low and distribution to the upside, or conversely, accumulation, manipulation of the high and distribution to the low. If we wanted a bearish continuation once we have analyzed the previous movement, for now, we must wait for price to break one of the 2 zones. I will move forward at this point. We see price had an upward move taking the previous high, which makes us assume our power of 3 for the London session will be the Asian accumulation. We have the manipulation of the Asian low here, and the distribution move seems to want to go higher, since we have seen a continuation of the last move, breaking the previous high. Right, so we should look for zones where we could join this upward move until taking the next liquidity, which would be this internal liquidity point at the start of the day. The day begins at this bar, so we should look for a point in a zone here to join again. As we can see, we have no block zone or inefficiency, since we don't have a clear zone or inefficiency where we can enter and find an entry point. We wait for another move that actually leaves us a zone. So we move forward to see how price develops. We see that once it pulls back to this point, price makes a new internal structural point again. So we have this low, this high, and now we see price has left an inefficiency zone here. We also had a zone in this part, so this would be a good point to look for continuation of the move. We enter the inefficiency zone, price below the low, because if price drops below this low, it would trigger a structure shift, a change in direction. And we no longer want to be bullish, since our goal is to enter in the direction of the trend. So we look for our entry point that could reach this inefficiency zone, find our first point, and set the stop loss below the low, which is about 7 pips. We look for a 1-to-1 short move during the London session, seeking continuation of the PO move, the distribution move. We have the accumulation here. We determined this is the manipulation move, since we made a bullish move here that continues it, and now it leaves us an entry zone, a CVG zone at the midpoint, so let's see how the price continues to evolve. We see it quickly react in the inefficiency zone and hit our profit target. This helps us perfectly understand the power of the London session. We had accumulation in Asia, we manipulated the low, then we had a bullish structure shift here that confirmed the move. Once we break this new high, we have a pullback. We get a new high, price pulls back, and we have an inefficiency zone and block. We didn't enter there, but here we did, and we look for continuation again, hitting the take profit. Well, this was the trade I shared today in the free Discord community, so if you want to join, I'll leave the link in the description.